Pragati Vichal Literature Festival 2022 is continuing to have its fresh morning constantly, and now I'm having Mr. Suresh Nair with me to share the glimpses of his book, The Last Disciple of Nalanda, and the topic of the session is Philosophy, Adventure, A Story of Nalanda. Please, sir, start by introducing yourself to the audience.
Hello, everyone. A very happy morning to all of you. At the outset, I must tell you that I'm happy to be here with you all. And I thank the organizers for this small event, online literary festival, and also for allowing me to be a participant in this event. Thank you so much.
So please share the glance on the journey from being a military man to becoming a writer.
Oh, well. Well, actually, for every author, before an author actually becomes, a writer becomes an author, that is, right? Everyone is a writer, but once you publish a book, the writer becomes an author. Now, before anyone becomes an author, he is something else. Maybe a student, maybe a professor, maybe a government servant, maybe working in the private sector, maybe a businessman, or maybe a traveler. It just could be anything. So this writing usually doesn't begin right away, and it is something which happens after some study, some experience, some amount of spending time on the becoming worldly wise and spending time on the world. And so it was with me. I always had this literary interest, reading, writing, plays, poetry, prose in all languages. So that interest was always there, and my service in the military did not give me much time to participate in such literary activities of writing full-length fiction, or it didn't even give time to write for me to write short stories, maybe an odd poem here and there. But it was quite a natural or a logical process that once I finished my military career, I had to transit to this literary activity of reading, writing, collating, gathering more information, putting it in some form, and also think about how it can be developed into a good narrative, and maybe a story, maybe some kind of a text for people to read. So that was how soon after I retired, I started increased my visit to the libraries, and I increased my reading, and I thought I should start with my childhood fixation, I would say, or if not passion, a kind of fixation that was with me all the time. And so I started with Nalanda.
So necessary for a busy man like you to keep yourself engaged into something, and what better than the literature itself. So coming straight onto Nalanda, do you think that the demolishment of universities like Nalanda and Takshila actually put up a curtain over India's what could have been a strong Indian history for the youths throughout the world?
Well, actually, any invasion, any invasion is an obstruction to the path of progress of any, smallest of kingdoms to biggest of civilizations. And I look at our country as not as, a clutch of kingdoms, but a massive, huge civilization. And this invasion, which was kind of, had at its core idea of destruction with a view to superimposing their own ideology without absorbing our own, was something alien to us. Invasions have been taking place all along, but what happened was whenever anybody invaded another country, they did not completely destroy their systems of administration, systems of education, systems of worship, systems of political ideology. So none of these were destroyed. Rather, they were absorbed. Even when one kingdom or one king attacked another king, he absorbed the good aspects of the others and amalgamated into that. And the life, ordinary life, was not affected at all. But in this particular case, during these invasions, these violent invasions, you can say political invasions driven by religion, or you can say religious invasion driven by politics, in whichever way you put it. This was a kind of a dark period in our history, and these invasions did apply a severe break on the path of our civilizational progress. And we were quite of you can say the whole region was under a kind of a shock, that which was quite alien to us, that this wanton destruction of buildings, wanton destruction of educational institutions, absolutely marauders without scruples, even you can say kings and generals behaving like normal brigands without any principles. So indeed, like you said, it did put a severe stop to our civilizational progress.
Exactly. When a university like Nalanda actually keeps burning for so long, it creates a gap with the history for the youths. That is quite acceptable. So please, please share your glimpse on the Oirat tribe you have mentioned in your book that traveled across mountains to the sacred land of India.
Yeah. Nalanda had, can say at its at one point of time in history, or at one point of time in recorded history, you can say there were about 2,000 professors and 10,000 students. And these professors and students were from all over the world. They came from Sri Lanka. Those days it was Anuradhapura, Tamaradvipa. They came from Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, and China, from Iran, from the and also from the, you can say, the Mongol steppes, the Siberian steppes. And one of them, you can say, was probably he did not reach Nalanda, but he reached somewhere close to Nalanda and imbibed all from whatever Nalanda had to give. But because by then Nalanda had got destroyed. So this person from the Oirai tribe, he uh, absorbed the essence of what this Buddhism was, and gave it to the Oirat tribe. Now, the Oirat tribe is a tribe of the Russian Mongol steppes. These steppes are the grassy plains. You have the steppes in Latin America, and you also have the steppes in the Siberian region. It stretches almost 2,000 kilometers. And these people travel from one end of the steppes to the other end throughout the year, taking their cattle, and they were pastoral nomads. They were not settled people. So as faith, they were shamanic, in the sense there was some kind of a religious preacher who would say, do this, do that, kind of life. And it was not a very well ordered spiritual growth that these people had any chance to. So that's the time the somebody thought, no, it's not it's time that this pastoral nomads settle down. And when you settle down, obviously, then you have to behave like civilized settled people. You cannot have any form of life and do what you think whenever you want and things like that. So this a person called Zaya Pandita, he was an Oirat nomad who gave this Buddhism to these people. And that is how this Oirats, tribal nomads, they soon became, you can say, Buddhists almost en masse.
Okay. So, do you think that history has the power to repeat itself again when we actually lost what we had in Nalanda? And when I'm asking this, I'm asking with the reference of the famous poetry related very close to your heart that you actually shared in the Hindu. And I'm going to orate the lines: हम भारत के भावी सैनिक, हिंदुस्तान हमारा है, तक्षशिला नालंदा का इतिहास लौट कर आएगा. These were the quotations you put in the journal in the Hindu. Please elaborate something about this.
Yeah, let me. That I should get to a little bit of history and biography of my own self as far as that particular line is concerned. See, in 1966, when I was a student of class 6 in Kendriya Vidyalaya in Chennai, our Hindi teacher was one Mr. Surendra Kumar. He wrote this poem, and the first line, the first or one line of this is about Nalanda and Takshila. And it is a little longish poem, and we used to sing this poem in the school assembly, and soon other Kendra Vidyalayas, or now Kendra Vidyalaya, those days it was central school, and these Kendra Vidyas, they also picked it up, and you can say by those standards, the poem went viral, and whenever any visitor or dignitary visited our school, we sang this song with full gusto, with almost full throttle, and the visitors were very impressed. And this particular word and this particular line and this particular word or the institution, Nalanda, Takshila, has always been in my head since then. And that was in 1966. And somehow, although it was there, I didn't get to interact with this particular university due to various reasons. I wasn't very close there. And 35 years later, sometime in early 2000, I could visit the ruins of the Nalanda University, and that gave me an idea that this story has to be told. So that is how this I can say this is the beginning of the book, the germ. Can say like a seed, how it's got into myself, into my system, or into my head, or into my brain, or whatever heart, and it just blossomed, after 35 years or maybe 38
I'm
years.
sure that throttle inside you must have been there while you visited the ruins of Nalanda. That throttle must have been there, which you had while orating those poems.
Well, it's a great place, and it's a very well laid out place. And when I went there first time, I've been there about 2-3 times, and I took a guide along with me so that one should not miss out on anything. And right from the entrance, when we walked through those pathways, then he explained to us the various monasteries. And mind you, it's only a small portion of the entire university that has been excavated, or what we see of the ruins of Nalanda University in Nalanda today is probably 1/10 or 1/12 of it only, because at one point of time there were 12 monasteries, and we see today only the ruins of one monastery. So we can well imagine if all those 12 monasteries were there, how great the university would have been. Even today, if you look at those pathways, the where the monks lived, how they lived, how they had their meal, how they slept, how they read, how they interacted. Those classrooms, how the teaching learning process took place. What did the monks do? The acharyas do? What did the disciples do? The library, for example, where it was located, how they accessed the library, and dining halls, magnificent dining halls, huge, it's a huge campus, and you can really imagine at that point of time in history, for almost 1,000 years, starting from some 3rd century to the 12th century, how this university would have invited the greatest of minds from all over the world, and how knowledge would have got dispensed, and dispersed throughout the world. And that you can feel the vibration of those great people who stayed there, the great teaching that took place there, and all that of Nalanda. Once you just sit down on those, you can sit down on any piece of rock or any stone, or you can even actually visit a dwelling unit of the monk. Usually there are 2 or 3 monks who used to stay in a small quadrangle type, so, and there's a small niche there. Every seat or every bed had a small niche for keeping books, or his small, personal belongings, like a glass for water or something like that. in those days, you can well imagine the hostel facility that the disciples enjoyed, or I would say not enjoyed, but actually what the administration has provided for them, how seriously they took even small things like the layout of the garden and where they went for their bath and how they lived and how they studied. If you look into all that, you can well imagine how far advanced this particular university was. And one would get a great feeling, oh, yes, we wish such universities were again and again more and more in our country.
I have been a visitor of Nalanda and I can totally correlate with the words you are saying. It's all being imagined inside my head. And I'm sure for whatever amount of time we sit with you, we will not be able to grab all the knowledge you're having inside your head. And for that, while we are running very short of time, and we're extremely sorry for the audience, but I'll request everyone to go and have a glimpse of the last Disciple of Nalanda, written by Mr. Suresh Nair, and gather all the knowledge that author's head actually contains. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us in this beautiful session. Please share your last words for the literature festival we are having today and for the
Yeah.
audience.
Thank you so much for this wonderful event. Like in education, they say you don't get instant results, and so is writing, reading, and getting to know about it. Even if 1% or 2% or 3% get an idea of what Nalanda is, slowly, the word would spread. And I think one day the glory of Nalanda will get back to our our civilization. All civilizations are always in a state of flux. Creation, preservation, destruction has always been going on, and probably that is what happened with Nalanda also. And maybe another better Nalanda would come in the days to come. And we hope that I'm quite sanguine that we have a bright future ahead. And I think that the glory of Nalanda will be revived. Thank you so
I
much.
was going to quote it once again, and मैं यही दुआ करूंगा सर जो आपने अपनी शब्द में बोला, इतिहास लौट कर आएगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
इन्हीं
I think
शब्दों के साथ मैं
I'm very
खत्म करना
hopeful and
चाहूंगा.
very sanguine about it.
इन्हीं
Thank you
शब्दों
so
के
much.
साथ मैं यहाँ पे ये खत्म करना चाहूंगा. Thank you so much for joining us at Pragati Challenge Festival. We are very privileged to have you on screen. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bye bye.